my girlfriend told me. You're not my father, quit interrogating me about where I go. Before heading out to a friend's place at 2 a.m. I just said, You're an adult. What she didn't expect was running into me an hour later at the exact nightclub she was actually at, with my real friends. The look on her face said it all. There's a certain stillness that takes over a home when one person has mentally left the relationship but hasn't physically walked out yet. It's the quiet of two people existing in separate worlds under the same roof. That quiet is only broken by the soft lock click of a phone screen or the faint shuffle of someone getting dressed to leave for somewhere you're not welcome. For the past half year, that had been the background noise of my life. My girlfriend Lila and I used to be the couple everyone rolled their eyes at. We were irritatingly in sync, finishing each other's sentences, geeking out over the same strange indie movies, sharing a language of inside jokes. I work as a freelance illustrator, and I'm more of a stay-home type. My idea of a great night is sketching on my tablet, good music in the background, and the person I love right there beside me. For 3 years, that person was Lila, and it felt flawless. But somewhere along the way, we lost the signal. It started so small. Girls' nights became more frequent, stretching until 4 a.m. When I'd ask who she was with, the answers turned hazy. It wasn't Nora and Beth anymore, just some people from work. Her phone became a guarded vault, tilted away from me whenever a message popped up. The shared little universe we had built shrank until it was just me, sitting on the couch, wondering where she was. My buddy noticed. She's walking all over you, man. My friend Alex told me one night over beers. You're being a doormat. I stuck up for her, of course. Made excuses? She's just stressed. She's young. She needs to blow off steam. I was in love, and love dulls the sting of 1,000 small wounds. The Friday it ended, I had cooked her favorite, an elaborate pasta that took me 2 hours. I thought maybe we'd reconnect, maybe watch one of those bizarre films we used to love. She came home late, looked at the food, and said, "Oh, I'm not hungry." I grabbed something with the girls. Then she sat at the opposite end of the couch, texting with that small, secret smile that told me exactly who it wasn't. I didn't say a word. Just packed away the untouched dinner, feeling a weight in my chest. I went to bed around midnight, drifting off, until the sound of her closet door sliding open woke me. In the dim light from the hallway, I saw her pulling on jeans and a black top I'd never seen before. It was 2 in the morning. I sat up. "Where are you going?" My voice was low. She flinched, clearly startled I was awake. Her face tightened into irritation. "Out," she said, voice clipped. "Out where?" "It's 2 a.m. To a friend's place," she snapped, yanking a brush through her hair. "Jenna's having a rough night." It was such a lazy lie. I knew Jenna was out of town. Her Instagram had been full of beach pictures all afternoon. I thought about confronting her with proof, but I was exhausted. Tired of the lies, the performances, the detective work. "Lila, can you just be honest for once? Where are you actually going?" She spun around, eyes cold. And then she gave me the line that became the gravestone of our relationship. "You're not my dad," she said with a sneer. "Stop asking where I go." It hit harder than a slap. My wanting honesty was twisted into control. I wasn't a partner. In her mind, I was some authority figure trying to police her. And just like that, love's numbing effect burned off. I felt every small cut at once. I looked at the stranger standing in our bedroom and felt the last drop of fight drain away. "You're an adult," I said, my voice flat. I lay back down, facing the wall. She hesitated. She'd expected a battle, not surrender. But then I heard her grab her purse and the click of the front door. She was gone. I stared at the wall in the dark, but the silence was different now. Not the heavy, anxious kind, the clean, final quiet of an ending. She'd made it clear I was on the wrong side of the line she'd drawn. And this time, I believed her. I got up, paced the living room, city lights blinking outside. She was right, I wasn't her dad. I was her partner, and she'd been treating me like an obstacle. And I had been letting her. For months, my life had revolved around her moods, her schedule, her lies. I had stopped seeing my friends, stopped doing what I loved. My world had shrunk to the walls of this apartment, and most nights, I was the only one inside it. I picked up my phone, scrolling past work contacts and family until I landed on an old group chat from my college days. It was called The Misfits, once a non-stop flood of memes, sarcastic banter, and weekend plans. My own contributions over the past year were embarrassingly rare. Can't make it, guys. Sorry. Maybe next time. I glanced at the most recent messages from that night. Evan, Ryan, and Matt. They were somewhere downtown. My thumb hovered over the text bar. It felt like I was about to jump off a cliff. What was I even doing? Was I going to track her down and start some messy scene in public? No. That wasn't it. The idea of seeing her right then made me feel sick. This wasn't about her anymore. This was about me. About remembering the person I was before my life became a waiting room. With a reckless impulse I hadn't felt in years, I typed, "You guys out tonight?" The reply came instantly from Evan. "Look who's alive! We thought you'd been abducted." Then, "Yeah, man. We're at Eclipse." Eclipse, one of the biggest, loudest nightclubs in the city. The kind of place I hadn't stepped into since my mid-20s. The kind of place Lila would never picture me going. A slow grin spread across my face. "On my way," I typed back. Getting ready felt like rediscovering a part of myself. I dug past Lila's overstuffed section of the closet and found a shirt I hadn't worn in years. It was snug, but it fit well enough. In the mirror, the dull, worn-out man I'd been for months was gone. In his place was someone alert and awake. There was a restless energy under my skin, part fear, part thrill. I drove into the city with the music cranked louder than it had been in ages. Even from a block away, I could feel the bass thumping from the club. As I joined the line outside, a flicker of nerves hit me. What was I doing? This was insane. But then I remembered her look of pure disdain, those words replaying in my mind, "You're not my dad." No, I wasn't. I was a 32-year-old man about to have a drink with friends. Nothing could be more ordinary. I spotted them at a booth in the back, a half-empty pitcher of beer on the table. The moment they saw me, their faces broke into huge smiles. "No way!" Ryan yelled over the music, pulling me into a hug that nearly crushed my ribs. "We were about to file a missing person report." The reunion felt effortless. Conversation flowed, bouncing between old jokes and filling in the blanks of the past year. When they asked about Lila, I didn't offer excuses. "It's complicated," I said. "Might be over." They didn't press, just exchanged a glance that told me they'd suspected it all along. For the next hour, I didn't think about her once. I was too busy laughing at Evan's ridiculous jokes, debating sports with Matt, and remembering what it felt like to belong somewhere. It was like coming up for air after being underwater for too long. Then, during a quiet moment, my eyes drifted toward the packed, flashing dance floor, and I saw her. The room was dim, light strobing, but I'd have recognized her silhouette anywhere. She was laughing, head tilted back, moving with a tall, broad-shouldered guy. His hands rested low on her waist. Hers curled over his shoulders. They were close, too close for just friends. This wasn't a friend's place. A cold, sharp clarity settled over me. Not even anger, just confirmation. The missing puzzle piece falling into place. My instincts had been right all along. For a moment, I considered turning away and pretending I hadn't noticed. My second thought was to march over and blow the night apart. Instead, I just watched quietly, as if observing the final scene of a play I already knew the ending to. Then I turned back to my table. "Another round?" I asked, my voice steady. My friends followed my gaze, saw her, saw him. Their expressions darkened. "You want to leave?" Evan asked under his breath. "No," I said, shaking my head. "I'm not letting her ruin this. I'm here for you guys. Let's have another beer. And that's exactly what we did. In that moment, I made a deliberate choice. I wasn't going to duck away. I wasn't going to bolt. I hadn't come here to track her movements. I was here to live my own life, and right then, that meant having a drink with my closest friends. I laughed at their stories. I threw in a few of my own. I was there, fully in the moment. I was genuinely happy. And honestly, that might have been the sharpest revenge of all. About 20 minutes later, she noticed me. I caught the exact second it happened. She was laughing at something her dance partner had said, her gaze drifting over the room, probably toward the bar, when it landed on our booth. On me. Her grin froze. Her posture locked tight. Her face went through an entire cascade of emotions in seconds. First came the shock. Like she was seeing a ghost. I wasn't supposed to be here. In her mind, I was at home, sleeping, playing the part of the sad, predictable guy she'd left behind. Then came the panic. Her eyes darted from me to the man beside her, then back again. She was calculating. The lies were closing in. She'd been caught. Next, a flicker of indignation. How dare I be here? How dare I invade her space? How dare I be smiling? And finally, when her gaze took in the whole picture, me, not alone but surrounded by my crew, laughing, beer in hand, clearly fine without her, came the horror. This was the scene she'd never planned for. I wasn't the needy, controlling, dad figure she'd painted me as. I was a man with a life that moved forward perfectly well without her. In an instant, the balance between us flipped. She wasn't the free spirit escaping some dull boyfriend, she was a liar caught in the act. She peeled herself away from the guy and pushed through the crowd toward our booth, her face dark with purpose. My friends tensed. Here we go, Ryan muttered. She stopped at our table. What are you doing here? She hissed. I took a slow sip before answering. I'm out with my friends, I said evenly. What about you? Thought you were at Jenna's cheering her up. We decided to come out. Last minute, she stammered, eyes flicking toward the dance floor. That's odd, I said quietly. Because Jenna's in Vermont. Posted snowy cabin pics earlier. The color drained from her cheeks. Her mouth opened, shut again. No more lies left in the tank. Look, I said, standing. I'm not having this talk in front of my friends. I walked her a few steps toward a quieter corner. What do you want, Lila? I asked. What do I want? What do you want? Were you following me? She shot back. I almost laughed. You give yourself too much credit. No, I'm not following you. I'm doing exactly what you told me. I've stopped asking where you go. I'm living my own life. Tonight that brought me here. I looked her straight in the eye. The real question is, what were you doing? It's not what it looks like, she said, leaning on the oldest cliché around. It looks like a lie, I said. It looks like cheating. And it looks like you expected me to be home, waiting around like a good little boy. You were wrong. You're an adult, Lila. You can do whatever you want. Turns out, so can I. My eyes flicked to the man she'd been with, now watching from a distance. You should probably get back to your friend. He seems lonely. I walked back to my booth, leaving her standing there, exposed and speechless. You good? Matt asked when I sat down. I'm great, I said. And to my surprise, it was completely true. I felt lighter than I had in years. We stayed another hour, talking and laughing. I didn't glance her way again. Eventually, I saw her group head for the exit. She threw one last venomous look before disappearing. Later, I went home alone. The apartment was quiet, but in a way that felt peaceful, a silence that finally belonged to me. The next morning, she came back. She cried, apologized, claimed it was a mistake, that the guy meant nothing. But her words were hollow, just the frantic noise of someone who'd been caught and lost control of the story. I listened until she was done. I'm glad you enjoyed your night, I said gently. I did too. I saw my friends. I remembered who I am without you, and I like that guy. I'm going to spend more time with him. Her things were already packed by the door. She looked at them, then at me, and finally seemed to realize it was over. She left without another word. I watched her go, feeling neither rage nor grief, just the quiet of a chapter closing. The quiet of a bridge gone that I'd never wanted to cross again. I picked up my phone. A new message in the Misfits chat, same time next week? I smiled. Absolutely, I typed. And I knew I'd be there.